All right, Sistas fans, this is the episode review for season 1, episode 4, new stories. Right off the bat, not as good as last week's, in my opinion. I'm going to give this episode 7 out of 10. Honestly, I was going to give it 6.5 out of 10, but I felt like, you know what, there were some redeeming moments in the show. Not to mention there was one particular scene that kind of hit me in the feels because of a recent experience, so I kind of hated the scene even though it was well acted. Um Remember last week when I said I had like over a page of notes? I don't really have that this week. I barely have half a page. To be honest, I kind of feel like this episode was mostly filler. Now, don't think I'm attacking the show. That's not it at all. I had a good time watching it, but I think I put a poll up on my channel, which actually, let me check it while I'm recording this video because I was talking with Chandler and a couple other fans after around last night after the episodes because I didn't want to do a live stream at that time, but we kind of came to a semi-agreement, and again, I want to pull up the poll to see what you all think for those of you that voted. And in the community tab of my channel, I said, how long do you think Sistas episode should run? I had two options, 30 minutes or 60 minutes. Now, the reason I put up the poll was because episodes like this, to me, and the people I spoke with, and those who did vote in, my in the way I voted, well, thought I should vote. Episodes like this kind of prove that this show could probably work as 30 minutes instead of an hour because sometimes it feels like there isn't enough material in a given episode to last 42 minutes versus 22. So, wow. Okay, we have 286 votes right now. 32% say 30 minutes and 68% say an hour. And let me see if any of the comments actually shed some light on this. Okay. One person says, guess I'll look at it. Another person said, guess it's all right. And then another person has, I really can't get into it. Another person said, I love that show. And then the final one says, okay, these women have serious issues. The one is batshit crazy, can't take too much of her foolery. 30 minutes with double episodes to draw me in because I'm tired while watching. Ooh, child. Yeah, okay. And again, I think like this episode, honestly, I think that the Andy, Jasmine, Gary story is probably the most engaging story of the actual series, followed by Sabrina and Calvin, because I really praised that in the last episode. Then Karen's story is probably the lowest one for me, while Danny is just a comic relief character. And I'm not even in the episode review, but I mean, honestly, like I said, the episode review could be summed up pretty quickly. I remember I was talking with Chandler last night, and I bet him, like, look, I could sum up the episode without looking at my notes, and I did in less than 2 minutes. I want to try to do it here, so bear with me. Jasmine reassures Andy that she's making the right choice and that marriage is what she wants to work towards and not divorce. And she says, hey, I hope I never see you again. No offense, but I'm pretty sure I'll see the bill. So then her boss tells her to go home for the day because obviously she had been crying because Andy goes into the restroom, checks all the doors to see if anybody's in there. One of these days, I'm like, she's going to check and there's going to be somebody in there. And basically, she calls Karen for support because she's upset that Jasmine was, rocking the bling that she had turned down. Then after that, she goes home, not because she was fired, but because everybody's watching her, and he doesn't want the upper bosses and other partners to see that she's upset. And they're in the business of making money, not saving marriages. Aaron calls Karen to ask her for a date, go out to a fancy restaurant later that night. Danny and Zach talk at the, Danny talks to Frida, who went out with Zach, but instead of going out, he's actually staying at a shelter that her family owns. And that's pretty much it. She jokes about having an STD because she spreads that around the airport, pretty much to prevent Zach from going out with anyone else, because Danny wants him and Karen to get back together. After that, we have Sabrina and Maurice. Maurice is easily my favorite character on the show, even though, sometimes the gay jokes kind of go a little too far for me because it's like, I don't really relate to that, so I can't really, chuckle. But overall, he's just a jovial character. I like him. She's still mad over the whole Calvin thing. He tells her that, hey, We went out, but all he could do was talk about you. He wanted my help in order to woo you. After that, we have Andy and Karen talking. She's upset. I believe they're in like one of the back offices at the hair salon. They basically have a sisterhood moment, which I believe is the digital equivalent of burning their bras. They block Gary and Zach and then delete their contacts as well. And then they roll a joint. And I'm like, okay, is this an every episode thing? Is Sistas becoming that 70s show? Are they going to have a circle moment like they did last week? I don't know. Okay, then after that, we have Danny and Zach talking. And he confronts her about spreading rumors. Danny asked about splitting rent. Why don't you come stay with me? And he thinks about it. After that, we have Danny and Sabrina in the grocery store. She's getting stuff for her dinner with Calvin. After that, Danny sees Jerome, a guy that she used to date, confronts him and his new lover and chases him out of the store. And I'm like, after what happened with Aaron and Karen and now Jerome and Danny, I don't feel like it's safe for any man to go into a grocery store in this show. Then we move over to Karen and Aaron having dinner. He's not a really big drinker. He talks about how his wife cheating on him once after 15 years of marriage and he wants a divorce. He offers a foot massage. She said no, but then she gives into it and then he does it and she loves it. And we find out he was in the Marine Corps. And then we have Calvin and Sabrina. Very sweet scene, but he puts on a jazz record. Dance is kind of questionable. And, you know, they have a cute moment. It's like, hey, you want to try the sauce and stuff like that. So it was a pretty cute scene. It got a little awkward, though. Then we have Karen recommending Annie as Aaron's divorce lawyer. And he actually has his wife come to bring the wallet because he'd forgotten it. So that was, yeah, I wouldn't even know what to say to that. Like, even if their house is not even far from the restaurant, it's like, hey, your current wife who you plan on divorcing is going to show up to our first date because you forgot your wallet. Awkward. Then Zach moves in with Danny. He says he'll pay half the rent, but, you know, don't come in the bathroom when I'm in there. If you have a guy, let me know so I won't be here. If I have a girl, I'll let you know. So he pretty much moves in. Karen calls Andy and she's coming back from the gym because she's calling Andy about how awkward the date was. And Gary's there saying that he had left his wife to move in with Andy. That was a good cliffhanger. And yeah, I think I went over 2 minutes, but you know, I wanted to give the show a fair shot. So I pretty much summed up the entire episode in pretty much no time flat. Like I said, not a great episode, but I feel like, you know, it moved the plot along in some areas. It really reminded me of the finale for Have and Have Not, Show Not Tell, where the beginning of the episode with the shooting and the end of the episode with the shooting were really the only moments of substance, and the remaining 34 minutes in between were kind of fillerish. So, yeah, I think I said that all in one breath. My gosh. So basically, this episode, kind of skippable, I must admit. But once again, I got to give praise to things like the character's wardrobe, the camera work, the locations. I'm not going to deny the show that, because even if a series is kind of lackluster, I will give props where props is due. Tyler Perry certainly knows how to make scenery pop. And I really do appreciate it, because even if a scene is portrayed kind of dull in terms of it's just characters talking with no substance, I at least can admire the background and stuff like that. So I do appreciate that. Now, Danny, I think I brought this up in the conversation last night. I think Danny is a character who would fit the mold of a Tyler Perry play without fault. She definitely seems like she is the kind of character who would fit well as the comic relief. You know how sometimes in Tyler Perry plays, when Medea isn't in the actual play, there is usually like a female character who is Medea-like, the loudmouth of the group, quick to, you know, switch to violence, talks about weed and everything. And from there, you know, does have moments of tenderness where she does show love and affection for the people she cares about. That's Danny. I, for whatever reason, just noticed that Karen has an accent in this episode, which I thought was very attractive. So I don't know where I've been the last 3 episodes. I felt stupid. Sabrina, I felt bad. I mean, Calvin's dance, it just like took me out. I'm like, oh my gosh. So she could not wait to move on to the next stage of that date. So I can't wait to see what happens next. Like I said, Maurice, just to do makes me laugh whenever he's on screen. Aaron, I don't know. Something just don't seem right. I mean, did his wife really cheat, or is there something we don't know? And not to mention, it's kind of awkward. Like, Karen tells Andy, like, hey, you need to stop messing with a married man. And she unintentionally kind of finds herself in a similar position, dating a married man who says he wants to get a divorce. And at least she's being very cautious about it. Like, yeah, I heard that before, basically referencing Gary and Andy. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But kind of like, Jasmine talking about Gary being abusive and Andy didn't know that. Aaron just seems a bit too good to be true, not to say he hasn't had moments of fault already, but and then he was married to a white woman too. I'm like, huh? But hey, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the Andy cliffhanger had me going, I'm like, oh damn, her career is going to be in shambles now. I mean, well, technically, if the divorce goes through, no, wait. Either way, she's going to have to meet Jasmine in court because, I mean, if she agrees to be the divorce lawyer, then they're going to, unless, they don't go into court, but they just settle. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to say the least. I guess that's really all I have to say about the episode itself. Kind of like the first chunk of this video and what I've been doing so far. All I can do is really talk about elements of the episodes. Like, I just find it strange. I was talking about this last night as well. I think it's kind of interesting because, I'm so used to watching Tyler stuff on OWN that I know that they bleep out certain words, but BET just takes to the next level. So it's like, okay, so you can show characters rolling and smoking a joint, but you can't have them saying certain swear words. And then other times, like, they'll bleep out, like, effing, but then they won't bleep out F. It's kind of like, what? Wait, what? So is it like punctuation that matters? Like, if you say the S, I don't know. You see what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't know if I'm the only one that catches it. I'm pretty sure I'm not, though. But sometimes they'll bleep out a certain curse word, but if it's said in another form or fashion, it's not bleeped out, or the editor just didn't bother to bleep it out. That's one thing that gets me. Also, the foot massage scene, that hit home because something like that actually happened to me a couple weeks ago. Now me and the girl are kind of like not talking, which is awkward, even though, hell, I got those Aaron hands because, she was feeling it. But, that's neither here nor there. The preview for next week looks interesting, to say the least. I don't know if I would share an apartment with Danny, though. It feels like something ain't right there. I just feel like I'll be finding weed everywhere. And that's it. Honestly, if you would have cut out my commentary of like different elements of the episode, I think this episode review could have been done in less than 5 minutes. Definitely skippable. But it's only episode 4, and I get it. Every series has episodes like this, but I don't think that the other characters have stories that are strong enough to carry the plot like the Andy storyline, in my opinion, anyway. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you into Sistas? Do you think it's a great show? It's kind of strange how Sistas started off stronger than the Oval, but now the Oval is kind of overtaking Sistas. But overall, Sistas does have the better acting performances. I will say that the Oval story is finally getting good, whereas Sistas' story is kind of meh, but the characters have a certain charm that you kind of root for them. So, like I said at the beginning, I wouldn't be against this show being 30 minutes long, or 22 minutes minus commercials, as opposed to like 42 minutes, because I don't think there's enough material to warrant an episode that long, especially after episodes like this, because a lot of the scenes felt fillerish. Like, a lot of the scene was repetitive dialogue, or you can just cut out certain things and the episode could have been summed up within 20 some minutes. But I think it could work better as like what doesn't Dear White People do that, where they have each episode is dedicated to a certain character? So, I mean, Sistas might actually work better that way, where each episode is like, here's a Danny-focused episode, or here's an Andy or Sabrina or a Karen episode. I don't think that would be a bad idea. But again, it's just my opinion. I want to let more episodes come out before I give my full thoughts and everything. But yeah, overall, watchable episode, but you could definitely skip it and not miss much at all. So thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that thumbs up button. It does help the algorithm. We should be hitting 97,000 subscribers around this time next week. you all just, again, blowing me away with the support. I love checking the views to see how much we're at. I believe by the end of the day, we should be at 18.5 million views on the channel. Thank you. That's all I have to say. So I do have a couple more videos I'll be recording today. I did do my ambitions review. I just haven't edited yet. I've been feeling a little under the weather and not sick, but I think it's because of the fact that the weather changed up so quickly. You know, where we go from moderately warm to like frigid. My body hasn't been able to compensate, not to mention I have been like working and worrying myself ragged about life stuff. So I'm just trying to get together. So if you can pray, send some positive vibes my way, I'd appreciate it. It really does make a difference. And I do need to do a Greenleaf video about Grace's prayer at the end of the episode, because believe me, after I saw that episode and I had a decent talk with God on Wednesday last week, life has been, you know, a little bit better. Not to get too spiritual here, but we are talking about a Tyler Perry show with a hint of Greenleaf in it. So once again, and not to mention what, before the episode of The Oval, you had Medea's family reunion, and then Lynn Whitfield, Lady May, was in the show. So just saying. All right, guys, again, thanks so much for tuning in. And again, I hope this video didn't come across as me bashing Sistas. That's not it at all. I actually do like the characters and cast, but in terms of the overall story, it could be better.